This is my light now, B. This is so you know B. There's Wing, there's twist up on the mic, two friends brought together just to talk at night. Remember those days, dreaming about getting paid. Now we live in the dream, no more plans delayed. Fresh thoughts, new crowd, listen up real close. Click, like, comment, and share with your folks.
Day and night, night and day, tune into the ish we gotta say. Laughs and stories, wisdom flows with Killer B and K Twist. Anything goes.
From sitting in the room, scheming on the low, to live broadcast where the thoughts just flow. If you call in, better be on P's and Q's. Might get dragged down these avenues. We talk the talk and we walk the walk, bringing life to the dreams we used to chalk.
Day and night, night and day, tune into the ish we gotta say. Laughs and stories, wisdom flows with Killer B and K Twist. Anything goes.
It's more the podcast, it's a vibe, it's a feel. From the basement days to our first big deal, we hustle and grind with passion so true. Every episode's a journey, come join the crew. It's more the podcast, it's a vibe, it's a feel. From the basement days to our first big deal, we hustle and grind with passion so true. Every episode's a journey, come join the crew.
Day and night, night and day, tune into the ish we gotta say. Laughs and stories, wisdom flows with Killer B and K Twist. Anything goes.
Killer B and K Twist is in the building once again. What's going on?
What's up, partner? How you doing?
Where my man Killer B at? Where you at?
Hey, I'm right here, right here.
Where you at? I see you. I see you.
You see me? You see
What's
me?
going on, big baller?
Nada, nada, nada. How you doing?
Oh my God, man. This week has been so bananas, man.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
So yeah, man, I'm just trying to get my bearings.
Just a little bit. Don't feel
Trying
bad.
to get my bearings, man. This week has been crazy, bro.
Well, what's been cracking? What's been cracking?
You know what? Everything's been cracking. Everything's been cracking. But you know, been dealing with a lot these days, man. But you know, we just trying to keep it positive. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep it positive, bro. Just trying to survive and trying to get it to where we can handle things. What's going on with you, Big Killer B?
I'm actually having a day off. I'm kind of enjoying it. It's been hot today.
It has
IE
definitely
has been on fire lately. Okay, smoke everywhere. Okay, like this heat need anything else making it hot out here, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure the peeps have been dealing with it. Everybody trying to get through it, day at a time.
Exactly.
Just exhausting, man. It's exhausting.
It really is. It's like, you know, we coming together tonight, man, and both of us have had a rough week, but we've got through it, you know, and we got through it and we still getting through it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the start of a new week. Things that, you know, we've never seen, you know, are gonna happen, but we're gonna get through those things too. But
Yeah.
you know, I know you've been dealing with things, you know, with your with your car, with your vehicle. You know, me on my side, you know, we've been going through some family tragedies, and you know, we're gonna talk about that real quick. Uh, you know, the LAPD ain't ish. And that's how we gonna start this right now. LAPD ain't ish.
That's right.
I'm gonna let you know that right now, man. They got a bunch of cowards on the force, bro. They got a bunch of cowards on the force. Because and the thing I'm gonna talk about right now, and you can chime in whenever you need to, whenever you feel the need to, but I'm gonna let everybody know what I've been going through this week. I lost a relative, man. I
Sorry
lost
to
a
hear that.
relative a few weeks ago to an officer involved shooting.
Oh
So
man.
we're gonna talk about it, man. This is therapy. This is two brothers, you know, talking our way through our ish.
Right.
You feel me?
I hear
So
you.
so I mean, you probably heard the news broadcast down in LA about 3 weeks ago, Koreatown. There was a call to 911 concerning a man who was armed. Is
Okay.
how the story went. So we don't know if he was armed or not. But what we do know is that he was taken out of here. He was taken away from us with a bullet. And that bullet came from the Los Angeles Police Department.
Damn. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. I'm so sorry. You know, um, there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on with the departments, um, and we've been asking for consistently, and this is everywhere, especially out here in the IE. We've been asking for, a lot of these officers to be retrained. You know, with the public in mind. They go through their basic six months, and honestly, a lot of them, you know, fresh out of high school, they go straight to the department. They don't do the security training, so they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to listen. They don't know how to uh, communicate in a manner, okay, that we do on a daily. You know, you know, they so up on their giving orders and instructions, and everybody got to follow and do as they please kind of thing. And I'm sorry, but that's not the way it's supposed to go. You know, they are the servants for the people of that city, and it doesn't matter what city it is. They're supposed to be uh, have some self control about themselves and their actions. You know, and I know not everything is a officer at fault situation, but for those that it is, they need to be held accountable. They need to be dealt with. Okay, their immunity removed from them, and they need to go through process just like any one of us. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. Uh, because I honestly believe, okay, there's another way they could have gone about doing things where your family member would still be here.
Absolutely. 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 And my
Yeah, I
thing
don't
is,
see. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just don't understand why they don't use de-escalation tactics effectively. What I do know is many LAPD officers, they want to make a kill. They don't want to
Not
de-escalate it. They don't want to de-escalate the issue. They want a kill. I know this for a fact.
Well, you um,
I mean, tell me where I'm wrong. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
true, it is. The way I'm looking at it is, you know, like I said, we can go back to their training, and understanding on what they're being trained on. Okay, the one thing I know that they're not being trained on, at least a lot of it's been said so, and I believe it. Okay, they have not been trained on de-escalation of force. You know, being placed in a situation where it's life or death. Okay, you know, it's kill or be killed, and I don't actually agree with that. Uh, Now I can understand if the subject involved is literally trying to take themselves out or somebody with them. I get that, you know, but when it's a questionable situation and you don't know exactly where that person's mind is at, this is where I honestly believe the training needs to come in. Okay, we don't know what this person's intentions are. Okay, we don't know if they're trying to be, you know, suicide by cop, or if they actually want to have that confrontation. And that's where I believe that training should come in. That training should come in as like, okay, we don't know what the subject is doing. We don't know where his mind is at. Before we get into this, this back and forth tussle. Okay, let's try to talk to him. Reach this person. Let's try to communicate some way. Okay, even when they're moving in. Okay, at some time they should be able to back off some. It's like, hey, let's back it up. Okay, give this person some space. Let's give them the opportunity to say what's on their mind before they get to that point. Let's figure it out. Okay, so both parties go home safe. Yeah, we need to bring this person into custody. Yes. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean bring him in custody and put him in a body bag. You know,
Hey,
they need to. They
right.
need to. They need to. You know, literally slow down on their role when it comes down to uh, the people. Some of them are too eager to get into something. Okay, and even with me being 30 plus in the security field, I'm not eager to get into stuff. Even when I was younger, okay, and I've been carrying a gun for that 30 years, okay, I was not eager to get into stuff. Okay, I would try to talk people down. Okay, let's not do this. Okay, I'm trying to give you a chance here. Okay, tell me what's wrong, whatever the case may be, whatever the scenario. And I know the scenarios play out differently from person to person, to situation to situation. But regardless of whatever situation I found myself into that I know could go haywire at any moment, okay, my deal was I'm trying to go home at night. I got a son to worry about. You know, I got people that care about me, people that I care about. Okay. I know they don't want to find me in a hospital or, worse off dead. So, you know, I needed to think about what I was doing. Okay. And we don't have the insurance backing. Okay. We don't have all the equipment that the police departments had. But, this is all common sense. And you know as well as I know, common sense has been thrown out the window for years. People are not using it, and I don't think that, these officers are using their head anymore. They're just using their training. They let the training take over and they just, you know, take a step back as far as thinking about things. And that's where the problem is. You need to be able to think about this. You need to understand what's going on. Okay, figure out what's happening with this person. Okay, where their mind is at. Okay, and if it means, hey, get a negotiator up there, okay, to talk. If that officer can't communicate with this person well, then call a negotiator another 10, 15 minutes, okay, to get somebody else there that can communicate is better than going in blazing and somebody end up on a slab. So,
Well, see, look, in my opinion, it all boils down to black worth. To me, it all boils down to black worth. What are black people worth in the eyes of law enforcement? It seems as though they give every concession to a white man, and they offer no concessions to a black man. Get down before I blow your head off. I mean, we've seen it play out on news broadcasts. We've seen it play out, and they give the white man chance after chance after chance to drop the weapon, to comply with the orders of the officers. Now, why can you not give that same concession to the black man, even though he may be having some mental distress issues? Have you not been trained to address a person with mental health issues? I mean, I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss for words in many respects, and this is why most of us, or I would say many of us, don't really don't really like the police. We don't view them as protectors. We view them as antagonists. When they come around, they don't look at us as, oh, we're trying to keep the neighborhood safe. When we look at them and they look at us, we're wondering if they just want to pull us over. We're wondering if they're going to find a reason to arrest us. Now, you take a white person or a Chinese person. When they see law enforcement, they see a protector, a person who's serving the community, a person who's going to look out for the bad guys so that I can live my life in peace. And that's just not a healthy existence for African American community. I mean, so that being said, I mean, it's like, what do you do? We try to open up a dialogue between the citizens and law enforcement, and you get a lot of patronage, patronizing and, off-putting dialogue and language. And you just really get nowhere, especially like in these town hall meetings. They don't really want to know what you have to say and what you're thinking, because they're going to do what they want. When they show up to a call, a domestic dispute, you have some good cops out there, but then also you have some bloodthirsty cops. And that's really unfortunate. Now, on this channel, we don't promote violence among citizens, and we don't promote violence between citizens and law enforcement. However, you must ask yourself, where does it stop? Where does it take a turn for the better for, quote unquote, the black man? That's the question.
Well, I hear you. I hear you. Um, you look at the situation, you know, the scenarios case by case, and it's a good question. It's like, okay, where do we stand? Driving, you going home, going to a friend's, got a bunch of friends with you, whatever you're doing, okay, and that unit pulls you over, you see them lights, okay, and you don't know if you're about to meet your maker or if this is going to say, hey, this guy's going to be that cool one that says, hey, just letting you know you got a light out, okay, see if you can get fixed and send you on your way. You don't know what you're gonna get. You know, and
No, I've had that happen before.
well,
I've been
like I said,
pulled over. They told me, look, you got a light out. It's the light over your license plate. Okay, and after the stop was over, I looked at the light over my license plate, and there was nothing wrong with it.
well,
There was nothing wrong with the light on over my license plate. But he lied just to give a reason while I'm inside the vehicle and I can't see what's on the outside of my vehicle. But at the time, you can't dispute that because you're not going to get out of the vehicle without being allowed to, or else you might be shot or roughed up. That happened to me. And I'm speaking from experience. And, that's just a common excuse they use to pull you over.
Well, I'm not
So
trying to
have
make
you ever had
excuses
that
for
happen to
them.
you?
Well, I've been pulled over left and right. I've been pulled over, and I've had my sidearm on me. You know, and when I get pulled over, first thing I tell them is yes, and I have a loaded firearm on my side, and they're like, okay, okay, can you uh, uh, give me your ID? And if I said not without getting up or moving, whatever the case may be, he goes, okay, can you give me your information? I just verbally give him my information and go from there. You know, you know, you know, and all the time comes back clean. I come back clean every single time. And you know, I asked the reason why they pulled me over, and sometimes they have a good reason, sometimes they don't. One of the reasons why I got pulled over is because I got the trailer hitch on the truck, and they saying it's blocking the license plate. Well, they're right, it is. So I get that. You know, I've dealt with it where they pulled me over, okay, and the tags weren't, you know, 100. Haven't received the sticker yet. You know, and they asked me, about the vehicle, and I tell them it's mine, okay, and give them the registration, give them my information, whatnot, and luckily every time that I've dealt with an officer under those circumstances, it's been somebody that's straight, haven't given me any headache or what have you. But I can't say that I haven't dealt with bad officers. I have, you know, just in the field dealing with stuff and call them over a drunken public, an assault situation, whatever, and you get that one officer, okay, you can tell in his demeanor, okay, he want to get into it with somebody. You can just tell, you know, and that's not it's nothing that you can do about it. You just know that this guy is out there, okay, in these streets and giving it his way, okay, he gonna have that night that he want to have. You know, you know, Most of the officers that I know, they just hoping to get through the night and get home. You know, they wanna treat people in the best way scenarios possible. They want to give the chances that they feel that they need to give based on the situation at hand. But it's unfortunate we do have those guys out there that are rogue, and you know if they having a bad day, bad night, bad week, whatever the case may be, sergeant's up his ass. Um, you know, wife situation with the wife or husband or what have you. You do get those ones that hey, you the one at that moment that they want to take it out on. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It's true. You have every right to feel how you feel about them because you know, especially out here in the IAE, we see it all the time. We hear about it all the time. You know, it's unfortunate, and I honestly believe that those guys need to be removed based on what they're doing. Okay, that the new guys need to be trained correctly so they don't mimic what these older ones are doing. You know, a lot of retraining, a lot of uh, uh, necessities need to be dealt with in regards to public and law enforcement situations. A lot of these deals need to be addressed, you know, on how they act, their demeanor. Okay. I mean, my attitude is if you're having that bad of a day, you don't need to be coming to work carrying a gun. There have been times where I felt, and I am working, that I knew that my attitude was not right, and I don't need to be carrying the gun today. And I will call off. I'm like, nah, not today. Not today. I know where my head's at. My head ain't right. you know. And I'm sure there are a few officers like that, but there are so many more that probably are not. Okay, and I don't want to say that law enforcement is bad because, yeah, we do need them. There are people that consistently break the laws day in day out that the citizens of whatever town they're in have to you know have to contend with. But you know, it's unfortunately that the citizens that are doing right, not causing problems, you know, we every now and then, you know, run into that bad apple, and that bad apple, we know he don't care. We know he don't care. Whatever
Absolutely.
his day,
Absolutely.
it sucks, but it's true.
So, okay, so you heard what I said. You know who I am and how I live and how I move. You know what my beliefs are.
Right.
So how would you, what kind of advice would you give a person in my shoes to cope with what I'm going through, losing a family member to LAPD? What would you say to somebody like myself walking in this dark forest?
Well, one of the things I would definitely do is, okay, I would want to know what happened. Okay. Okay. I would request to see the body cams of the officers there. Okay. You
Unredacted,
know, huh?
unredacted body cams.
Say that again.
We need we need to see the unredacted body
Yeah.
cam.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see the body cams of what happened. Okay. I want to know the backgrounds, and I want to see the files on the officers that were involved. I want to know if they were involved in other stuff. You know, what does their complaint situation look like? You know, how many people have complained on Officer 1, 2, and 3? That were involved with my family member's situation. Okay, how many of them
Absolutely.
have been suspended? How many times? I want to know this information. I want to know. Okay, has he had to have take classes for anger management? You know, okay, has he been suspended, and how many times without pay? Has he had a problem with the authority within his ranks? If his supervisor told him something and he ignored it, and okay, he ignored it. What's he doing back on in the field? You know, I want to
So
know.
let
I
me
want
ask
to
you
know.
a question.
Yeah.
So if he's done this before a couple of times, taking a person's life, what would you say to that?
Well, see, that's something else. Okay. How many officer involved shootings has he been in? That I definitely want to know. Okay. It's one thing if he's been in one or two shootings. Okay. One or two shootings says, okay, he got scared. Okay. And he it scared the daylights out of him. Okay. But over his time period, you find out that he's been in like 6, 8, 10 plus officer involved shootings. Okay. It's like, and then you find out that he's been suspended multiple times, or he's had to change locations. Some of these guys get themselves in some hot water, okay, that the city will let them go, but another city will pick them up. You know, I want to know what his background is. I want to know who we got on the street. And after I know all that, my question is, why are you guys still got him working? I want to know all this. I want to know why this person is still working. You know, Obviously there's something wrong here, and with there being something wrong here, okay, why hasn't it been dealt with? Okay, these kind of things are important, especially when it comes down to those of us that are left behind to deal with the circumstances. You know, You know,
Absolutely.
you got grieving family members. Okay, I mean, here's an example. Okay, officer involved shooting. Okay, okay, female involved. Okay, female is killed. Okay, leaves behind a husband. Okay, two kids. That one was on the way. She was pregnant at the time. Okay,
Yeah.
the situation comes
Yeah.
out. Okay, well, the husband says, "Well, my
Yeah.
wife doesn't carry a gun. She's not a threat. What was the situation? I want to know." Okay. After asking those questions, I want to know about this officer. I want to know what he was involved in. Okay, how
Yeah.
many shootings has he been involved in? Did he
Yeah.
just get back to work after dealing
Yeah.
with some crap? I want to know what's going on because okay, now my life has been affected permanently. My kids' life have been affected permanently. You know, okay,
Yeah.
I want to know why this person
Yeah.
is on the street, especially if I find that if he's been suspended
Yeah.
of, dealing with supervisional situations, top brass has got an issue, that kind of thing. So, you know,
Absolutely.
all that information needs to come to light. Okay, I want that body cam or body cams, depending on how many situations he's been into. Because if I know somebody that's not been a problem, not been a threat, doesn't have anger issues, you know, is a just let me go to work, get home to my family, let me go to work, get home to my family. Yeah, I'll hang out with my girlfriends every now and then, but as soon as it hits 10 o'clock, I'm back home with my family. Okay, I'm gonna want to know, okay, if my wife was on her way home or my girlfriend or whoever, she's on her way home, okay, and it's 8:55, she don't make it home, and I'm getting a call that she's now deceased because of an officer involved shooting. I want to know why. Okay, you know, could there be in a situation where she was just getting into her car when this stuff was happening and she got hit by a stray? Possibility. Okay, or was this directed with that officer? Okay, and now I need to know the particulars. you know
Absolutely.
all these questions have to be asked. These questions have to be asked.
I agree. 100%. 100%. Well, that's awesome, man. You know, so we can't just allow these incidents to continue to happen and not press the department for answers, is what you're saying. So we need to add pressure. We need to add pressure. And we have to be heard. So,
I agree.
all right, man. Well, I'm sorry.
I agree. No, I agree.
Yo, absolutely.
We all have to have a voice in the situation, okay? Because there's too many too many families being destroyed by situations like this. Okay, we need to open up everyone's eyes, let them understand that, hey, we're not trying to cause a problem with the departments. No, I honestly believe we need them, but we also need to shine a light on these bad apples. Okay, they need to be removed so we can have a lot less casualties in the field. All these hot dogs, okay, or lone wolves, or however you want to call them. Okay, we can't have that. You know, we need
No.
to know that they know how to communicate with the people that are out here in the streets. You know, and I mean, understand. I understand they have a tough job. I know they have a tough job. There's a lot of stress, okay, in doing their job. Okay. But with that stress, okay, they have a responsibility in themselves to know that, hey, you know what? I'm not having a good day that I belong in this uniform carrying this gun. They know when they walk in there whether that day is good, if their day is a good day or not. They know that, you know, they know that. And with that knowledge, they should be able to walk up to their watch commander, okay, lieutenant, sergeant, whatever the case may say, and sir, I understand we short-handed, okay, but I don't need to be in this field. Okay, I had a night, I had some situations, whatever the case may be, and should be able to say, you know what, today is not the day for me to be in carrying this gun. Okay, because I have a feeling, regardless of my training, I might deal with things wrong. Okay, and honestly, okay, I don't want to take it out on the wrong person. That's how it should be dealt with.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Well, that's good advice, man. That's good advice. I appreciate you, Killer B. You know, you've always been there for me, man. You've always led me in the right direction when I needed some guidance. Uh, you know, and that's what we are here for. We're here for one another to help us get through these difficult times, man. And I appreciate you as my brother for being here for me, you know,
I got you.
and being an ear to hear. You know what I'm saying? When I gotta rant to you or when I gotta pour out whatever it is I'm feeling so I can get some feedback from you. You know what I'm saying? I thank you for being there for a brother, man.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Absolutely.
With this being said, I think I need to say this. Okay, and this is for everyone out there. Okay, you know, a lot of us day in day out, okay, get pulled over by police. Okay, and we don't know, and we're not gonna know what their intentions are. We're not. Okay, and with that being said, okay, we ourselves need to be cautious. Okay, so we know that they're carrying guns. We know that they're in work status. Okay, we don't know the frame of mind he's in. Okay, what you do know is a man or woman wearing a uniform carrying that weapon. That's what you do know. When they walk through that door, that's what you do know. So when I say take caution, okay, make sure that they can see your hands. Leave them on the steering wheel. Don't be fiddling around. Okay. All right. Make sure that they see those hands. Okay. If they're asking you questions, okay, listen to the question that he asked, but at the same time, make sure he's answering the questions that you ask. Okay. So if you're asking why he pulled you over, okay, make sure that that actually gets answered. Okay. If he asks for your ID, okay, I'll be honest with you. We all tend to keep our wallets and stuff in our purses and in our pockets and stuff like that. You know what? When you're driving, put it in the center console. Okay. Take it out the purse, you ladies. Ladies, take it out the purse, put it in the center console. Okay, that way you get pulled over, he can see exactly where you're reaching to get your ID to give it to him. Make it so he has no choices other than to do his job. Okay, that's it. Okay, don't give him a reason. You know, you being twitchy and stuff like that, they look for stuff like that where they can pull you out of the car. Okay, you know, don't give him a reason.
Absolutely.
You know,
Hands 10
okay.
and 2.
Yep, exactly. You know, make sure that you are listening to his directions. If he tells you to turn that music down, turn it off. Turn it off. Okay. Make sure when he pulls you over, you turn that car off. Okay.
OFFOs.
You know, just so he can't say, hey, you was gonna take off on him. You know, be cautious about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Be respectful at that. Some of them start tripping when you start getting disrespectful. Don't get mouthy with him. If he says
Right.
something derogatory for you, bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. Don't give him a reason. You know, because you don't know where his head is at. Okay.
Absolutely.
So be cautious. Be very cautious. Deal with things correct. If something doesn't seem right, okay, bite your tongue. Okay. Let him finish that stop. Make sure you have his name and his badge number. Go and file that with his watch commander at the station the next day. Don't try to handle all that right then and there. Just ask him badge number, what's your name? Okay, leave it at that. Make that report later. Make sure you're getting home that night or that day. That's your priority. Your family is your priority, not that
Absolutely.
officer.
Absolutely. When I'm pulled over, it's 10 and 2 until I'm asked for my paperwork. Once
Yep, that's
I'm
it.
asked for my paperwork, you know, get it to him, let him know where it is, let him know that I'm reaching for it. So for his safety and my safety, we can be above board.
Absolutely.
Everybody's on the same page. So we can handle business. So we both can
Yep.
go home.
Oh, one other
You know,
thing. One more thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, Twist. One more thing. When the stop is over, when the stop is over and you've signed that ticket and he gets back in the car, don't take off from him like a bat out of hell. Okay? You either wait for him to pull off, and if he doesn't pull off, you pull off slowly. Okay, to get the speed. Don't take off like a bat out of hell, because you do that, you asking for him to pull you back over.
absolutely.
Don't
And
do
they
it.
will.
And they will.
They absolutely will. So yeah, you know, transparency. Hey, my wallet is in my back pocket. Can I reach for it? You know, I'm unarmed. Uh, if you are unarmed,
The situation is to make it safe for everybody involved. Okay. Okay.
absolutely,
Where he can't say he's feeling threatened and where you don't feel threatened. Okay. You know,
absolutely,
okay. Do not be that idiot to start running off at the mouth about why he pulled you over. Do not give him reason. Okay. Okay. You bite your tongue. All right. And you deal with it the next day, whether you're making that phone call to the station or you walking in there to fill out that report. Okay. And under can request his background. Okay. You can request that body cam. Okay. If you need to know what this guy's about, okay, because you had a funny feeling, you felt uncomfortable, whatever the case may be, you are allowed to do that. Okay. But let's do it in a manner where it's safe. Go through the appropriate channels. That's how
absolutely.
you do it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Good advice. So, so we just two brothers on the mic talking ish.
That's what we're here for.
You know.
That's what we're here
So
for.
what? So what you got planned for 4th of July?
I'm probably gonna be working too, like everybody else. I actually, I was at work the night before last night, and I guess they do this every year. They have a fireworks display before uh, the 4th of July in Menifee. So, and I didn't know about this, but I started hearing the fireworks go off while I was doing my normal routine, and I saw a lot of the residents kicking it at the park. So I go to the park, and these guys got the bird's eye view of the fireworks display. And they tell me that the whole Target Center that's on the other side of the freeway, they said there is no parking whatsoever over there. Okay. People standing up on their trucks, doing a whole 9 yards, doing the stop thing, watching these fireworks. And I kid you not, they were blowing them things off for about 2 hours. Easy,
Wow.
you know? And I mean,
Wow.
the way our property was, compared to where they were actually firing the fireworks off, you would swear it was coming straight from us overhead. It was a really impressive array of fireworks.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
You know,
Something nice to
some
see.
years,
It was something nice to
some,
see.
I believe it. Some years ago, I was able to watch fireworks being shot off from a ship, and that was one of the most exciting displays I've ever seen. The sound is different when they're being shot off from a ship.
Right, right.
It's such a beautiful display. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And it was in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome display. But this year, just like yourselves, I'll be working. I will spend absolutely no money on fireworks. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I'll sit in my front yard with my lawn chairs and my family, watching everybody else's money go poof, up in smoke.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's funny. I've been looking at the signs lately. The closer we get to the 4th of July, and Redlands, they got the digital signs out telling everybody $1,000 fine for fireworks. They do not want them in the city,
It's not going to do any good.
right? And then on top of that, San Bernardino, for the first time in years, I seen them touch down with the fireworks stands in the city.
They're everywhere.
I was shocked.
They're everywhere.
So some
All
things are
over the
changing,
Gulf
some things
Coast,
not.
Colton, everywhere. But yeah, man, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
It's getting late. I gotta go see what the wife's doing, you know. But I definitely wanted to address the LAPD issue because that's
Understood.
been weighing heavy on my heart, man. You know, I mean, something's gotta happen. I mean, I talked to one of my brothers and immediately, he wanted to go and handle some business. But,
Right.
cooler heads prevail. You know, we have to fight in more civilized ways. Violence is not always the answer.
No, it's not.
But if we stand still and let God fight our battles,
Well, that's what I
then
was going to say.
I think our future would be a bit brighter.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. You know, I know it's weighing heavy on your heart, but okay, if you find it within yourself, let go and let God. Let him take on that burden. You know, let him
Say
take
that
on
one
that
more
burden.
time, brother.
You know,
You said
and
you said let go and let who?
let go and let God. You know, let him take on that burden. Let him, you know, uh, handle it from his point of view, his perspective. Okay, and hopefully things will get settled and dealt with in the correct manner. You know, having all that stress and weight and pain in your heart doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do your family any good. You got to be able to, when even when they're grieving, us being men, we gotta hold it down. We gotta hold that fort down for them. You know, we gotta be the ones that they come to. We have to have that understanding. Let go and let God. Let Him do it. Let Him do it. Just know that He's got us. He's got you, and go from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big B, Killer B. It's been a great conversation. It's been a great conversation, and I'm gonna let you have the last say for tonight's broadcast. This is episode number 2. Hey, we just on here. We two fly brothers on here just talking our ish
Talking
because that's
ish.
what it is. So,
I hear you.
closing remarks. Killer
Okay.
B, it's on you.
Closing remarks coming from the B. Okay. Well, see. Okay, IE. So I want y'all to understand. Okay. Okay. Not everybody's going to agree with us, but hey, this is how we feel. Okay. Uh, we created this channel for a reason. Okay, to speak out. Okay, you know, say what we feel needs to be said. You know, if you guys have anything to add to it or you disagree in any way, hey, you're welcome to let us know. Okay, okay, send us some comments. Okay, okay, and we will readdress what we're saying about tonight. Okay, i.e., we love you. Okay, if y'all working tonight, be careful. Okay,
We're all the way lit, and you're on with Talking Ish.
This is my light now, B. This is so you know, B. There's Wing, there's Twist up on the mic, 2 friends brought together just to talk at night. Remember those days, dreaming about getting paid. Now we live in the dream, no more plans delayed. Fresh thoughts, new crowd, listen up real close. Click like, comment, and share with your folks.
Day and night, night and day. Tune into the ish we gotta say. Laughs and stories, wisdom flows with Killer B and K. Twist, anything goes.
From sitting in the room, scheming on the low, to live broadcast where the thoughts just flow. If you call in, better be on P's and Q's. Might get dragged down these avenues. We talk the talk and we walk the walk, bringing life to the dreams we used to chalk.
Day and night, night and day. Tune into the ish we gotta say. Laughs and stories, wisdom flows with Killer B and K. Twist, anything goes.
It's more than podcast, it's a vibe, it's a feel. From the basement days to our first big deal, we hustle and grind with passion so true. Every episode's a journey, come join the crew. It's more the podcast, it's a vibe, it's a feel. From the basement days to our first big deal, we hustle and grind with passion so true. Every episode's a journey, come join the crew.